Hello, Care Bears. I haven't done a video like this in a really long time in the daytime when I haven't meditated yet, when I'm really just feeling super chillax, super chill. I was gonna go down to the hot tub right now and relax, but I was tapped on my shoulder to do one of these videos, which I haven't done in probably over a year. If you like this format, let me know in the comments below. And thank you for everyone who has taken the time to subscribe. I really appreciate you. I wanted to do a quick check in with you today to discuss how we're all being asked right now to prioritize love, spirit, over fear, ego. And I thought of the perfect example to delineate the concept. So let's imagine that you have a date this evening and you're getting ready for it, you're excited about it, you're looking forward to meeting this person, and then you show up and this person's a no-show. So they flake on you and you start to freak out. You pick up your phone, you call a friend, you're like, can you believe they flaked on me? That would be demonstrative of a trauma response. So I want you to take a moment right now to tune into that energy. You got all beautied up for this date, and then you show up and they're not there. And how so many of us are prone to go to that place where we lose our marbles a little bit, or we get really worked up, and then we tell our family and friends about it. That's more of a trauma response. I want you to really feel into that energy right now. Can you believe they didn't show up? Right? Okay. And then I want you to tune into the energy of love. Love would be understanding. Love would be perhaps slightly disappointed, but then you would pick yourself back up and say, maybe they were afraid. Maybe they got really scared. Maybe my photos intimidated them. Maybe they're new to this. And I want you to feel into that. That's heart. That's love. That's spirit. That is unconditional acceptance. And there's a big window for us to step into these bigger shoes now. To not get reactionary when your family shares something with you that isn't to your liking. To not get mad at friends if they don't call you back. To really honor and appreciate the fact that everyone is doing what's best for them. And I know that that can be a little bit of a hard pill to swallow at times, but just imagine how differently the world would look if everyone said to themselves, everyone in my life is following their highest resonance right now. They're doing exactly what they want to do. So if they're not responding to my text, it's probably because I'm not a priority in this moment for them. Maybe they're watching a movie. Maybe they are working. Maybe they don't feel like getting back to you. And guess what? That's okay, because now you start to move into this role that you're ready to assume, a role where you honor everyone's self-empowerment. Their journey to empowerment or their journey of self-empowerment, you're honoring everyone in your life. So you're untethering yourself from all these unhealthy expectations that lead to disappointment. And then we feel disillusioned. So I want you to go back to that scenario. You go on a date, the person flakes on you. It doesn't feel good. But could you maybe catch that potential response in time and say, maybe this person was afraid. Maybe they meant well. Maybe they intended to come, but the fear got the best of them. So Love is so much more powerful than fear. Fear is you or me or us perpetuating a cycle that is so vicious. So if this person who was supposed to show up at the date doesn't show up, they were afraid. And then think of how we multiply that energy when we get on our soapbox and we start to point fingers and we start to complain about it. It only magnifies the fear. It only multiplies the fear. How are we going to shift this entire human collective? We're going to shift this entire human collective by selecting love and by electing ourselves as the ambassadors for love. Most people don't have the consciousness capacity or the emotional bandwidth to go there, to be that. It doesn't necessarily suggest that they're bad people, not at all. What it is that there's a petrified aspect, there's a traumatized aspect that is still being housed in their energetic system, in their physiological body, in the bones, in the flesh, in everything. Because trauma lodges itself, it deposits itself into the body. And so whenever we do get triggered and we pick up the phone and we complain about what just happened, all we're doing is we're shoving that trauma back down as opposed to letting it move up and out of the body. You have to start seeing it as an ice cube. So the trauma is an energy that was transferred to you, or it was an impact that happened, like a car collision. And it's like this hard ice cube because it wasn't dealt with. So it got harder and harder and harder over time. What we want to do is breathe into that aspect to melt it away. This is not an overnight process by any means, but this is you liberating your soul. This is you choosing a better life for yourself. This is you improving your state of being. And everything gets better when you see life through that lens. Our traumas color our perception. So if you can imagine these green-tinted goggles or these blue-tinted glasses, your traumas will skew what you see. They will color what you see. If you look at the sky with yellow-tinted glasses, it's going to appear to be green. So it doesn't matter what happens, you'll always see what's occurring in your outer world through that lens. And so what we want to start being proactive in is, can I breathe into that ice cube, or can I maybe put on a different pair of goggles that's clear, or no goggles at all, and that way you can receive it as it's happening, as opposed to through the perceptions that you hold that then decorate your experience, or the traumas that you hold that then color your perception. Everything that's occurred to us in our life is still with us. So what happens is it ends up, you know what's really interesting? I'm sorry, just sidebar. I'm at 9 minutes, and I do 9-minute videos on Instagram every day, and this feels completely different. It's so weird. Just having a moment right now. Maybe because I'm speaking to a different audience. Because on Instagram, I share like this, but I feel like I've been talking longer. That's what's so crazy. Anyways, so everything that you still hold in your energetic system is going to be projected outwardly. And we project because we don't want to deal with. We project because we're not wanting to attend to that aspect of ourselves that is petrified, traumatized, in fear. So the only way that we can start to alter our reality is by altering our inner realm. Because otherwise you're on that hamster wheel or on that roundabout and you can't get off of it. So anytime people have an adverse reaction to you, or they respond from a place of fear, like that person that might have flaked on you for that date, that is not the divine being that they are. The reason why they flaked is because they're still holding trauma. And I tend to believe that we're all, I know this to be true, that we're all interconnected via the subconscious. So we can sometimes psychically attack other people based on how we react to them. So that person that flaked on you, they were already afraid. And then you then end up responding to that, and you multiply the fear energy. So on a psychic level, you might be hurting them, or maybe you were hurting them before they showed up. Let's go quantum for a minute. You were hurting them before they showed up, or they maybe picked up on that aspect of yourself, and that's what daunted them. That's what sent them into that, I'm afraid to go. Because it's all interconnected. See, the human mind is linear. The human mind wants to convince us that there's an event that happens before and then an event that happens afterward, which is true. But the truer reality is that it's all happening at once. All of it is happening at once. And dogs know this sometimes. They know when an earthquake is coming before it happens. So it could be that that person was picking up on what your response prospectively was. And then they were afraid because they picked up on that shadow, which, by the way, is their own shadow. But then what we want to do is alleviate that. How do we do this? We break the cycle that we've been in. We break the cycle of getting mad. We break the cycle of venting to our friends about what just happened. That person wasn't deliberately causing you harm. Even if they didn't text you after and said, hey, I'm really sorry, I'm afraid, that would be obviously more vulnerable and more transparent. But what if they were so afraid that they couldn't show up? We have to forgive everyone. We also have to forgive ourselves for having been reactive our whole lives. We have to forgive ourselves for having psychically attacked other people and ourselves. Can you tell that my energy is really different in the daytime? I'm very human. I'm very chill. When Lori and I were in Mexico, she's like, you're so chill. I'm like, yeah, that's me most of the day. So we want to start soothing ourselves. We want to break out of these cycles, because remember that every cycle that you find yourself caught in it's somewhat like a fly. It's very much like a fly that's caught in a spider web. Every cycle that you find yourself caught in, it corresponds to an aspect of the 3D matrix that you're also trapped in. This is really important, because the 3D matrix is riddled in trauma. And so the 3D matrix, its entire purpose is to control the human. And even if you become illuminated or enlightened, the contrast will never end, because the matrix is relentless when it comes to trying to suck you back in. Relentless, just like your patterns are. So can you see how they're the same thing? Can you see the parallel between you and your personal patterning, and then you and being caught in the matrix? They're one and the same. As above, so below. It's the exact same thing. So, and that coincides as well with when you heal your body, you're healing the planet, because the planetary body is your personal body. It's your biological system. But I don't want to digress. So you have the matrix system that wants to keep you encaged or entrapped. And then you have these patterns that you hold that are keeping you entrapped. If you were liberated, if you were absolving yourself of your patterning, you would no longer be in vibrational accord with the third dimensional templates, with those aspects of 3D that keep you in that cage. So how do we break out of the matrix? We break out of the matrix by breaking out of our personal matrix. And how do we break out of our personal matrix? We start to pour love into ourselves. Buckets upon buckets upon buckets of love. And I want to remind you tonight, well, today, but it's your tonight, that it's just choice. That's what it boils down to. You're choosing. So you've been choosing to get mad. You've been choosing to vent. We all do this, so there's no judgment here. You've been choosing to get mad. You've been choosing to complain. You've been choosing the woe is me. You've been choosing the pity parties. So the more that you choose, every time you choose, you reinforce that pattern. You strengthen that pattern. Just like if you always choose fear, you strengthen the fact that you're caught in the matrix. And it makes it much more difficult to leave the matrix. If someone is terrified of leaving their job and they're always choosing fear over the possibility of leaving that job, they're strengthening that pattern. And so they're less likely to move to Hawaii tomorrow on a whim than the person who hasn't been choosing fear. The person who hasn't been choosing fear is more in tune with their intuition, with their intuitive technology. They know, okay, I'm supposed to move tonight, or I'm supposed to move tomorrow, or I'm not supposed to move at all, because there's none of that murkiness or that muddiness or that contamination in their waters. There's no blurriness, there's no fuzziness, it's all there. They can see clear, they don't have that green tinted goggle. So any pattern that you hold that has been solidified, deeply, deeply solidified within your being, it's going to take a while to unwire and to rewire yourself. It's going to take a while because you have to choose the opposite of everything that you've been doing for a while so that you can untangle that knot. That's how it works. So if you want to break out of the 3D matrix, it's first acknowledging that it's all you. The stuff that you come up against in your outer life that may not have to do with your patterning has everything to do with your patterning. So it's about becoming more cognizant of our own behaviors, more cognizant of these patterns that we keep acting on and multiplying and strengthening and reinforcing. It's choosing love. 5D is love. It's unity consciousness. It's this person was terrified of showing up on my date, and I'm not going to take it personally. I will choose love. I will choose to see them as a divine being. And then 3D is separation. It's divisive. How could this person do this to me? It keeps you stuck in victimhood. It keeps you stuck in the perpetrator as well. Because it's a roundabout, and that's all you're doing. Roundabout, roundabout, roundabout. It's similar to saying, once I have the car, I'll be happy. Once I achieve this, then I'll be able to relax. It's around, that's the 3D matrix. It's separation, because what you're trying to achieve technically isn't separate from you. But someone won't be able to see that if they're not in their heart, if they're not in a unified space. When you're in a higher state of consciousness, you can see it all. All. And you become the glue for everything that is seemingly separate. And so reacting to someone not showing up or reacting to someone not texting us back, that only keeps the separation going. So remember, 5D is unity and it is love. 3D is separation. It's divisive. It's fear. And fear wants you in its grips so that you can be manageable, so that you can be controllable, so that you can be programmable. That's what it wants. Fear has its own consciousness, but it cannot dominate you, or it cannot control you or manage you unless you believe it to be real. Is it really real that that person wanted to cause you harm by not showing up on that date? Is that really the truth? It could be a truth, but can you maybe entertain a different truth. Maybe they were afraid. And you'll always know when you're expanding yourself, when you click into that sweet spot, like that feels like love. Maybe they were afraid. You're not doing it for them, you're doing it for you. You're doing it for you. I hope this message resonates. Let's start choosing love over fear. Let's start choosing 5D over all these stories that keep us stuck in the field of trauma. How's that? I love that. The field of trauma, which only perpetuates drama. That's all it does. It's all drama. Picking up your phone, telling your mom about it, drama. Let's start reducing. Let's start doing control damage. We reduce the melodramas. We tend to our traumas. We melt away those ice cubes. We pour love into ourselves. And as we do so, we are pouring the glue that is going to bring everything together and unify us as the whole that we are. So if you'd like to support my messages, I really appreciate it, because this is basically mostly what I'm doing now. So my link is feelgoodlife.com/donate. feelgoodlife.com/donate. I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for being here. And leave a comment below if you enjoyed this video and if you like this format as well. I love you.